Yousif, you left Islam, I believe. So what led you to make that change in your life, which is a big, significant move for anyone?
especially for a Muslim Saudi.
Yes, but it is, believe it or not, I mean, studying the Quran. We were just
Really?
talking about this. It's when you study the Quran, it's sometimes, because I've been learning the Quran all my life, right? I go to school. I mean, I grew up in Saudi, so
Wow.
I go to school. The Quran is a big part of school. Home, it's a big part of the household. It's like my parents will teach me the Quran. I go to the mosque. The imams will teach the Quran. So the Quran is, or Islamic teachings are embedded in everyday life.
Hmm.
It's a part of life.
But as a Muslim, when you study the Quran under the leadership of imams and father and grandfather, they're not there to teach you the Quran. They're there to shove the Quran to your throat and make you believe in it without even understanding or thinking of it. Am I right?
That's where I was going. This is
Yeah.
where I was heading.
Mhm.
So the way of teaching the Quran in an Islamic country, in an Islamic society, is exactly what Osama just said. It's shoving the Quran in your throat. You take it or else. So you have questions. Maybe you can ask one time, which is really bad to ask. Really, I mean, if you think about it in Islam. But some imams will say, well, you can ask me. Yes, that's fine. You can ask me, but you only get to ask once. They don't tell you this part.
One time in your life, you have to listen, Lloyd.
This is I added this.
Yeah,
But
Lloyd, you have to be very careful. It's how old are you? You're 40. You still have 30 more years to go, 40 more years to go. You better be careful when you're gonna ask your
Right.
question. It's one in your
You,
lifetime.
you know the
So
old proverb, questioning the Quran killed the cat.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, of course, they won't tell you you can only ask one time.
We're joking about that.
But yeah, this part is a joke. But really, if you ask one time and then you ask again, you will figure out really quick that, oh, I only had one time to ask. Right?
Because if the imam taste of your talks that you start doubting, they're gonna put you on the radar. I mean, when the Quran said in 5:1:1, do not ask, it's serious. Do not ask. So when you start asking a question, ask another question, ask another question. Wait a minute, what is wrong with Yousif? Then you're gonna get yourself in trouble.
Right. I had later on. I had questions with like more serious questions with imams. But as growing up, when I was a kid, the questions that I had were not too serious. I mean, how serious can a kid be? And when you're asking an imam, especially if you're surrounded by Islam your whole life, some stuff will become obvious to us. Oh, this is the answer. How, why, where, when, we don't know. And we don't ask.
Mhm.
And we don't need to ask.
So you
Sometimes
were aware
there will
that
be
there were
questions.
these. So you were aware that there are these shortcomings in the Quranic stories. I mean, as a Muslim growing up in
No,
Saudi,
you're talking about stories, for example, stories of prophets.
just all the Quranic stories, to me, that they always lack critical details. They lack like geographic details. They lack names, or you wonder how does the tafsir have details that is absent in the Quran? These are questions I always have. I mean, did you come across these realizations as a Muslim?
Brother Lloyd, if you grow up eating only one meal, you don't know what anything else tastes like. If you only
Ah,
eat chicken, you don't know what fish tastes like. And
Mm.
because you only see chicken in front of you, you don't know if there is anything else. We did not know. I did not know about. I never read the Bible when I was Muslim. I never touched. Well, I did touch a Bible, but I didn't open it. I never opened it. So I did not read all of these different stories that I read now in the Bible. I did not know there are different stories, and all what I know is, or all what I knew was there is Adam in Christianity, for example. There is Adam in Islam. I know the
Hmm.
Adam of Islam, and I assumed the Adam of Christianity, the Adam of the
The Bible.
Genesis, is the same Adam that I read about in the Quran, and has the same story. I never read it until recently. I'm talking about within the past. First time I read it was like maybe 7 years ago,
Okay.
6 7 years ago, and I'm 40 now.
Mhm.
So what led you
So
So yeah.
to explore the Bible? What led you out of Islam? I mean, that's.
So when I was in college, college life, you kind of walk away from God or the way you were raised or whatever. Um, so for a while, I kind of um, I rebelled, I guess. I walked away from God, the God that I knew, Allah, the God of when. I mean, you understand when I say God, and with the context that I'm saying, with the things that I say, you would know if it's God, if it's a true God, or if it's the false God. Um, I walked away from the God I knew, and I always felt I was still calling myself Muslim,
Mhm.
but I was too busy partying, too busy to really get um, get straight with God again, right?
Mhm.
Walk with God again, or at least the God that I knew. But I always called myself a Muslim, and I always felt guilty for leaving that God, right? Or it's I knew I was sinning against him as a Muslim. I knew I was sinning against him, but I was like, well, I still have my life ahead of me. I will repent one day. Or like Muhammad, he repents 70 times a day. It's okay. 100 times a
wait a
day. It's
minute.
okay.
Muhammad sinned 70 times a day.
No, he repented 70 times. What do you know? Sorry.
Repent for
Muhammad,
what? For
Muhammad,
nothing.
Muhammad, Muhammad never sinned, they say. So, but anyways, one time, I mean, it was like that for a few years. Um, Me not being straight with God. I got tired of it, and I was feeling guilty. I was having this guilt. I was beating myself for it, and I decided, you know what? Maybe it's time now to start reading the Quran again, start praying. I missed
Being a
all
good
of these,
Muslim.
yeah, being a good Muslim again. And then, believe it or not, when I started reading the Quran to get straight with that God, it was like the first time reading that book. I grew up reading the book. I almost, I'm not gonna say I memorized the Quran, but if you tell me a verse, I'm most likely I would remember. I don't know what chapter, what verse, what verse number, but I could probably finish that verse for you. It's that, I mean, I was reading the Quran. It's not like the first time reading it, but it felt like the first time reading it. I looked at the Quran as the Quran was not holy when I was reading it. To me, it wasn't holy.
Mhm.
I lost this holiness of the Quran.
Okay.
So I was looking at the Quran as a
Just a
regular
book.
book.
Mhm.
Then the more I read it, that look at the Quran, my views of the Quran changed to it's not just a book, it's a horrible book. Um, I started seeing things that, oh, how do I read that, for example, God is the best of deceivers, which I was reading my whole life, but I never stopped at this verse, for
Wait a minute. You
example.
misunderstand. That's a bad translation. When you say the best deceiver, that is a bad translation. Will you read it? What English you reading?
I was reading the Arabic.
You mean in the Arabic said like in the English, he's the best deceiver?
Yeah, I don't need to read a translation. This is the good thing about
Right.
Sorry, an Arabic guy.
yes. I mean,
You know, it's amazing, Lloyd. The reason I said that because the moment you say Allah and the Quran is the best deceiver, you must be reading wrong translation. And here's Brother Yousif, read it in his own mother tongue, in the Arabic language, and they say Khair al-Makirin, which is the best deceiver.
Right.
So we're not lying when we say Allah is the best deceiver.
no, this is another thing. When I don't need to read translations, but when I read the English translations, I have to say, why do I have to lie about the Quran to show people that the Quran is a good book?
You mean the English translation of the Quran have lies in it?
Yes, all over.
All over. Wow.
Open translation.
Yeah.
That's
And by the way, Lloyd, that is one of the things I heard Brother Yusuf testimony. One of the things make him really leave Islam. The amount of lies they put in the English translation. Why you sugarcoat your religion to make people believe in it when in reality is very bitter, it's very bad. Yeah.
that's no. I mean, this is
Yeah, I mean-
this is really powerful testimony. I mean, this is incredible. You know, you speak Arabic, you read Arabic. You're from Saudi Arabia, and I've visited many times. I've worked there, and I mean, this is incredible to hear this coming from you. And so this turned you against the message in the Quran because you felt it wasn't honest. And then where did that lead you? How did that journey continue?
It led me really to a worse spot, to be honest with you. I know I would say nothing is worse than Islam, but really, if it led me to a spot where I mean I was never a atheist.
Hmm.
I always believed that there was God, but this spot is not. It's I would hate for my enemy to be in this spot, to leave Islam and just say, well, yeah, there is God, but I don't know who that God is. That's where this led me to. I was there for a couple of years. I want to say a couple of years, a year and a half, 2 years maybe. I did not know who that God was. All what I know is that it's not the God of the Quran. It's not the God that I learned about. And for a while, I did not really care. Just to be honest, I was like, you know what? I know there is God. This there is a higher power that created me. I don't know who it is. I don't know who he is, and I don't really know. I don't want to know who he is, at least for now. And yeah, it is a bad spot. It is a very bad.
And I believe that what caused lots of Muslims to become atheists. I mean, the devil gets you as a Muslim, the devil gets you as an atheist. Either way, you're going to spend eternity with him in hell.
I had my wife and my children with me. I never told my wife that I left Islam.
And by the way, Lloyd, I hate to add to your testimony. His wife is an American lady who became a Muslim and wears a hijab to please Allah and please him
Wow.
for 20 some years.
When I met Tina,
Yeah, she was not a Muslim.
she was already a Muslim.
I know that I'm saying. Oh no, she was a Muslim for 20 some years.
Right. So I met my wife and she was Muslim already. So to me, it was I was Muslim. So I was like, you know what, half of the job is done. I don't have to convince her of Islam.
Mhm.
I don't have to introduce Islam to her or introduce her to Islam. When I say half of the job is done, is because I grew up a Shia Muslim.
In Saudi.
She is in Saudi. She was a Sunni Muslim. When she was in college, she had a friend from Qatar. She was Sunni, and she was nice to her, I guess. She would go to Qatar and for summer breaks and come back and would bring her stuff, and they became really good.
Her friend led her to Islam. Yeah, okay.
She learned about Islam through that friend. Whether the friend knew what she was talking about or she only was taught the like what we were taught as children. Well, she became Muslim in college. Now we met, we got married, we both were Muslims. I taught her about Shia Islam. She became Shia after a while. Practicing Muslim. Both of us Muslim, practicing Muslims. Then when I left Islam, I never told her because again because I was thinking maybe it's a if I told her about leaving Islam, or if I made her leave Islam and I was wrong, then poor lady, poor girl is gonna, she's gonna go to hell because of me. You see how Islam messes with your head. It's if I wasn't sure yet, even though I was sure that Islam is not the way, but I was thinking this is my life. If I was wrong, it's on me. I'm not gonna do it to someone else. Right? So until one day until one day I was, I left Islam, but I was more like lying about being a Muslim. If someone asked me if I was Muslim, I would say yes, I'm Muslim. If someone asked me about praying, fasting, I would say yes, I'm praying, I'm fasting.
But you was not praying. You're not fasting.
No, I wasn't. I was lying about it.
Okay, I got you.
So when when you lie too much, you feel this heavy weight on you, right?
Yeah.
And I decided one time, if someone asked me about praying and fasting, whoever it is, I will just say the truth. I'm just tired of lying. Guess what? The one who asked me, see how God works. The one who asked me was my father. Next person that asked me. He wasn't. It was the beginning of Ramadan, and we had conversations. I talked to him. I talked to mom. I talked to my brothers or like my siblings, and he almost hung up. Like, okay, we talked for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
He was asking about the grandchildren and life and stuff. So he's like, "Oh, before I go, by the way, it was beginning of Ramadan. How is fasting?"
No fasting, Dad.
And I was so glad that he asked.
Get out of your chest.
So I said, I'm not fasting. He was like, "Why, son? You're sick? Are you okay?" I said, "Dad, I never felt better," and I meant it. Yeah, I meant it because as soon as I said I'm not fasting, I felt I was standing taller.
Wow. Yeah.
So he was again. He was shocked. You're not sick, but you're not fasting. Why? I said, I'm not gonna fast anymore. I'm not Muslim anymore. So you
But
can
you were
imagine.
here. You were not in Saudi Arabia when he said that.
I was here.
Okay. We know it. You will not tell your father in Saudi, I'm no longer a Muslim. I just chose to become something.
I mean, when I used to travel to Saudi or to even Oman or other places, depends on the airport and the border security, but they would ask you, are you Muslim or Christian? Especially, I would travel to see someone and I might have a bottle of alcohol in my bag as a gift from my boss, to whomever, whatever client I was visiting, and they'd ask you, are you Christian or Muslim? And they want to check your ID card because it says Christian or Muslim. And if you're a Muslim carrying alcohol, that could be jail time. That could be
Yeah,
detention. That could be punishment. So yeah, it's a serious
something like
issue.
that.
So, anyways, you can imagine that phone call went to another 3-4 hours, right?
Yeah.
They're worried about their child leaving Islam, and so, anyways, my wife heard this. My wife speaks some Arabic. She can understand it. She understands more than she can say. So she knew what was going on. Of course, she was upset because I never told her,
How long
right?
had it been at this point?
It's been at least 8 months, maybe 6 months, 8 months.
Okay, so okay, so not that long then, not like years. Okay.
Not long enough if you're not telling someone who you see every day.
Okay.
And
Okay.
about leaving Islam. So here's the thing, Lloyd. A Muslim man can marry a Jew or a Christian. A Muslim lady cannot be married to a Muslim or a
A non-Muslim
non-Muslim.
man.
It's the man. Yeah.
So when I say by my own tongue, I'm not Muslim anymore, that's a divorce right away. I don't have to say I divorce you. That's a divorce between me and her. So she decided to stay after hearing it, only because she wanted to know why or how or what happened. Or my mom, on the other end, she calls her right away because she was asking her if I was forcing her on something. Is he forcing you to stay with him? My mom is Muslim. She knows the ruling in Islam.
Okay.
So she's like, hey, he left Islam. He confessed it with his own tongue. How are you still married? Is he forcing you to stay with him? And she's like, I just heard him now say it. He never told me. Right? So again, we were for a while we were living like roommates that hated each other, not like a husband and wife. Not talking to each other. I remember for like maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. One time I said we said good morning to each other.
Yeah.
It was a horrible living situation between me and her. Expecting her to leave, she is expecting me to leave. We stayed
Mhm.
together, thank God. She one time she asked me, "Well, you left Islam. We never talked about it. I want to ask, why did you leave?" So I said, "Well, instead of telling, I'm glad you asked. Instead of telling you a whole story and tell you my opinion, you have your own now you have your own TV in your room. You can watch things on. I'll send you links. You start watching the
Mhm.
things that made me leave Islam. Well, you will find them here in those videos." So I sent her videos of David Wood and Apostate Prophet,
And not to
and
Sama or me? What is this?
I did not know Osama or you at the moment.
Man, you insult me with this David Wood
I did
and
not.
this Farah guy.
Those are the things that worked with me.
Right.
The mocking, because I was watching David Wood for a while.
Mhm.
The mocking that happened. First, I was like, "What does this white guy know about Islam?" And I
Oh,
went,
now you're a racist white guy.
mm,
But I'm not white.
"Yeah, I know." Well, if I watched you, maybe I would say something else.
Yeah. Oh.
So, um,
I mean, my
I
audience
searched for him.
regularly compares me and Osama to David Wood, and they always say on a scale from 1 to 10, me and Osama are definitely okay.
Yeah.
Decent.
Okay.
Decent.
Not bad.
um,
No,
the
this is amazing. Tell us more, please, about David Wood. I think all of us, the entire audience watching, all myself included, we all learned from David Wood. I think all of us were influenced by him, no exceptions, except for Osama, who
so
probably taught David Wood everything he knows.
Osama's a hater.
Brother,
He's a hater.
here's the truth. I never heard David Wood more than maybe 10 minutes in his videos, and I never like to hear myself. So I have thousands of videos, and I never watch any of the shows I did with you. I never watch any of my shows I do every Saturday night. I don't like to watch me. So it's just part of life. I like to watch Muslims, but I don't like to watch, but it's just,
That's
I'm
fine.
also busy. Yeah.
Yeah. So Yusuf, so
But
what
yeah,
did
I
you
want, I
learn
want,
from
I want
David
to
Wood?
hear,
Sure.
yeah,
Yep.
for the sake of time, I want to hear from you how your wife became a Christian and how did you become a Christian to really to get a conclusion, a good conclusion for your testimony.
Yeah, but just give us
So
also what this David Wood thing. You said what does this white dude know? But then what did you come away with? What convinced you as well?
because I was searching the things that he say, because he would bring references to what he says. He would bring verses. He would bring hadith. And I was growing up as a Shia. I don't read
Sunni
Bukhari.
material.
I don't read Sahih Muslim. I don't read those six books, the six
Double
uh,
Sitra, yeah.
um, so
Six canonical books, yeah.
but my problem wasn't with with the six books. My problem was the Quran. He brings things from the Quran. He brings things from the tafsir, and I would go and see the tafsir of the Shia, and it would be even worse than the tafsir of the Sunnis. Some of
Are you serious? Wow.
it. Yeah. I mean, most of it is the same, but some stuff are even worse.
Hmm.
Um, when I told my wife, she was 2 3 weeks watching in her room. Um, Next thing she said to me was, "What's next?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "I know. Next Sunday I'm going to church. Are you coming?" I said, "No." So there is a
Incredible.
church close to my house, and when we were both still Muslims, every time we drive by that church, I mean, it's not even half a mile away. Every time we drive by that church, my wife will look at the church and say, "Something is telling me to go visit that church."
Drumming, yeah.
She says it out loud, not one time, not two, every time she drives by that church. To the point that my child, my son, every time we drive there and my wife doesn't say it, he goes, "Look, there's Mama's church."
Oh my word.
Wow.
Okay. So, anyways, she said, I'm going to church. Are you going? I said, no, not yet. I'm not going yet. This is a different belief, different religion. I want to go. If I was going, I want to go to a Arabic church where I can understand what they're saying. Not that I don't know English, but I just wanted to know it in my own language.
Hmm.
And I never been to a Arabic church until last March.
Wow.
After becoming Christian and going to that same church that my wife goes to. I mean, I'm going ahead of myself. But anyways, she went she went to that church for a whole year. She asked me maybe for about 8 months if I was going to church. Every Sunday she wakes up. I wake up before her. She's like, "Are you going with us to church?" Of course, she asked me if she could take the kids first. I said yes, take them. She started going. She started discipleship at home through the internet, Zoom or whatever. Uh, she she asked me every Sunday in the morning, "Are you going?" I say, "No, I'm not going." She stopped asking because she thought she was pushing too much. Um, but I was watching the live streams of that church from home.
So he will not go with her, but he watch the service at home.
Lloyd, it was so funny. I see my kids and I see my wife in the camera in the live stream, but I'm not there with them. But I'm watching what they're listening to. Um, I knew people at that church before I met them in person. I
Wow.
knew them by name, you know. But anyways, she um, when she started discipleship, I would go and pretend that I'm busy in the kitchen because she would be sitting in the living room
Yeah.
having discipleship with a older couple from church, and I would listen to everything that they say, pretending that I'm washing dishes or doing anything at the kitchen in the kitchen. After they're done, we would discuss the things that she was learning about.
Mhm.
And she's like, "How stupid can you be? Like you're listening and you cannot even come and say hi to them." It's like what
Amazing.
you're
Was
in
it
now.
pride or was it?
No, it was, I don't know. I guess I was scared to take that step. Scared of what? I don't know. I don't even know if I was scared to take that step, but I really don't know what it was. Um, uh, the live stream, when you have a live stream upcoming this time, you can go say notify me, for example, on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it would say it will start in an hour or it will start in 2 minutes, whatever. I would go click on the video 3 hours before it starts. It would say starting in 3 hours or 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at home not doing anything. I'm just waiting on this
Video show.
on the sermon. Until one day I'm like, why am I here?
Yeah.
I had my own vehicle. My wife is there already with my kids. I just got up, took a shower, and it wasn't planned or anything. I took a shower and showed up at church. Of course, it was emotional, um, especially with my wife and kids. After the sermon, or she introduced me to people there. After the sermon, she's like, "Hey, let's go meet the pastor." So again, in my head, even though I wasn't Muslim for now a couple of years, maybe, um, I'm like, why? I want to go home. Like, why meet the pastor? Because in my head, I'm like, I've been doing this for years. I have to meet imams and learn everything from the imam, but I want to. It's like almost like an invented thing. Like my own thing is like I want to be a self-taught Christian. I want to read the Bible for myself. I want to learn it for myself. I don't need to go to a pastor. I don't need to go to a priest and whatever church I go to. I don't need. I need to. I will need to learn it myself. I knew it doesn't work this way. Later on, I knew this, but I went and I was telling my wife. I said, "What do you want me to go to the pastor to say my Christian shahada?"
We don't have Christian shahada.
Yeah. So anyways, met people there, met the pastor, prayed with him. Again, I did not know. He asked me if I wanted to pray. I said, like, what do you mean pray? Chairs and a table in the middle. There is no room for me to pray. Like I don't.
We need a place to prostrate. Allah, Yeshua Akbar, Yeshua Akbar Azim.
So he said, well, he asked me if I believe in Jesus. He asked me if I believe that he died for my sins. He asked me if I believe that he was hung on the cross and he died on the cross for my sins, and if he rose again 3 days later. And I say yes to all of these. And he's like, okay, Yousif, use your own words. Pray this prayer that you just said. I'm like, how? I don't know how. Like, I felt stupid. So again, the guy had to, he has family to go to. And he prayed for
You need
me
to go.
and he left, right?
Let me pray for you. Let's get out of here.
So then I started searching more, reading more, started attending church. Later on, me and my wife got baptized at the same church. My children got baptized after a few months, almost a year actually. But I wanted to tell my family about all of this because I learned about this new thing and I felt and I knew how I understood how beautiful is the things that Jesus did for us, all the pain that he went through, all the punishment that he took for us. I wanted to tell my family about it. And I wanted to tell my family that I'm Christian now. I did not want them to hear it from someone else. And of course, it was one thing to tell them I left Islam. It was a completely different thing to tell them that I'm Christian now.
Wow.
When I told them that I left Islam, yes, they were not happy, but we were still talking. We talked. They were thinking, okay, one day something is gonna click and he's gonna come back to Islam.
Yeah. You
now
cross the
you're
line. Yeah.
yes, now you're Christian. You commit the
Sin of shirk.
yeah, the sin of shirk, the highest sin, the worst sin that God will not forgive, that Allah will not forgive.
Yeah.
So
You know, on
there is
that
no
point, I find it so strange that you cannot believe in Allah alone. You must believe in Muhammad. Isn't that shirk? I mean, why do you need to believe in Muhammad to believe in Allah? It makes no sense to me.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely,
there
and they will tell you
was a
he's
moment. Sorry.
only a prophet.
Yeah.
It does when you say the Shahada, it doesn't say that he is Allah beside, or he's a God beside
Beside
Allah.
Allah. But
He's just a prophet. You're witnessing that you're testifying that he is a prophet of Allah. I'm like, okay, can I say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah and Musa Rasulullah? No, you cannot say
No.
that. You have to say Muhammad Rasulullah. Well, that's only a prophet too. Moses,
Yeah, they claim,
right?
and Muslims claim that. That's a brilliant point.
God is good.
God is good all the time.
brother, I enjoyed listening again and again